shooting threes. Paul Millsap, all-star. Atlanta is pretty balanced. Boston is in trouble. I think Detroit is in trouble. If Cleveland wins game 3 of that series, stick a fork in them, Jaffe. Detroit is done.
And you made a very good observation with saying that, basic observation, but very good observation in saying that the Celtics can't score. And when you add that to the fact that they're playing against the Hawks, who is one of the best defensive teams in the association, it doesn't make for a good matchup for Boston right now. Boston came into the playoffs playing very well, but again, it's all about matchups, and the Hawks right now playing lights out defensively. They're, again, very balanced team, like you said, inside, outside. They got a lot of different ways they can score, a lot of different pieces that can hurt you. If you're any NBA team, just ask LeBron James and the Cavaliers.
LeBron James
almost put out LeBron and the Cavs last year in the playoffs, so they'll be an interesting team to watch. But again, I truly feel that the Miami Heat are playing the best of any team right now in the playoffs. I may have spoke too soon, though. I did forget about the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, the Spurs, they're playing pretty good, man, but they're playing the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are basically, put together right now with bandages and tape.
And their best offensive weapons right now are Matt Barnes and Tony Allen.
And if Matt Barnes and Tony Allen are your best offensive weapons, you, my friend, you in trouble. I ain't paying them country boys nothing.
Enough said.
I love you, Matt Barnes. Love you, Tony Allen, but I love you too defensively. You guys are scrappers. If you got, if your team is dependent on them to score points and keep them in games and to win games, you're not going to win a series, especially against a Greg Popovich coached San Antonio team with Kawhi Leonard and that bunch. So, that series is over. It doesn't matter if Memphis is able to win one game, and I highly doubt they're going to win one game. That series is pretty much over. So we're going to move on from that series. NBA playoffs cooking right now. This weekend, a lot of games going down in the DM. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to make it out of these first round matchups in the NBA playoffs, man. We all love the playoffs. We love the playoffs in any format. And speaking of the playoffs, we're going to touch briefly, because this is All Things Sport podcast, briefly on the NHL playoffs. And Pierre, you can speak more on the NHL playoffs, because me personally, I don't know what channel they're playing on, man. What channel is the NHL playoffs on?
Quietly, while there's some good basketball being played right now in the NBA, the more compelling playoffs are right now in the National Hockey League. I mean, the NHL playoffs right now are jumping, and every team, well, not every team, but basically every team is in each series. You got a couple teams that are down 3-1, but when you look at the Blackhawks being down 3-1, they're up right now on the Blues. They've been in that situation before, and they've come back to win series being down 3-1 and came back to win Lord Stanley Cup. You look at the Kings being down 3-1 right now. They've been in similar situations and were able to come back from those 3-1 deficits to win series. The Washington Capitals look to have things intact, but you never can count your eggs before they're hatched in the NHL, because as we talked about earlier, it doesn't matter if you're on your home ice. It doesn't matter if you're in somebody else's barn. Shootouts, overtimes, goals can be scored quickly. It's just exciting hockey going on right now. So for me, I'm more engrossed in the NHL playoffs right now than the NBA. And, of course, I watch the NBA playoffs, but the more exciting games are going on ice.
It's crazy. The NHL playoffs are always exciting. I just don't know what channel they're coming on. I was flicking the channel the other night, and it was on USA. I said, is this real? Is this a real game? This is the playoffs on USA? I haven't watched USA since Silk Stockings was on USA, man.
La Femme Nikita.
Yeah, I haven't watched USA. I don't watch Suits. I've heard it's a great show.
What about Modern Family? You lying if you say you don't watch Modern Family.
I watch Modern Family reruns
right,
on USA. You got me there, friend. You got me there. I do watch Modern Family. But I don't watch NHL on USA. It's ridiculous, man. I don't know what's going on with the National Hockey League. I hear that the playoffs are awesome. I need to really sit down and get, in tune with the NHL playoffs because I do enjoy hockey. Shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes. We are here in Banks Boy Studios in Durham, North Carolina, home of the Carolina Hurricanes. So I have been to a few Hurricanes games before. Love hockey. Just didn't know what channel they were coming on, man. Gotta tune in. Now, as I speak, it is 72-78 Houston going into the fourth quarter. Houston Rockets, Mo Spates has 22 points. If you let Mo Spates have 22 points, you deserve to lose this game. You can't let Mo Spates have 22 points. Ridiculous, man.
Yeah, they gotta take advantage of the reigning MVP, arguably two-time MVP, not being on the floor. You got to take advantage of being on your home floor. They were using Dwight Howard very effectively in the first half. They were finding him a lot and throwing lobs, and we spoke about this earlier, but in the NBA, there's no setting in the post anymore. Teams don't run their offense through their post presence, and the Houston Rockets could benefit from posting up Dwight Howard and running their offense through him. The Golden State Warriors don't have a lot of size, and the size they do have, they don't look to be comfortable playing in the post. Why not use Dwight Howard in the post, run your offense through him, spread the floor with your shooters if you would like. You can still have the Jet on the outside, posted up, looking for jumpers. You still have the Beard with his silky smooth game, able to get to the rim, post up for jumpers and things like that. But use your big man. Use one of the best big men in the league, which again, very effective in the first half, but going away from him.
Pierre, man, you are over there killing it. And it's crazy because we just gave the NHL just as much attention as America is giving it. We were talking about the NHL playoffs, then we went back into the NBA playoffs. Why are you playing playoff games on USA? I don't know, man. I have no idea. Everything you just said is absolutely correct. Houston Rockets need to be ashamed of yourself. I mean, you have to win games. Point blank, you got to win the games when Steph Curry is not playing. If you can't beat them when Steph Curry is not playing, why are you in the NBA? Like, you let Mo Spates have 22 points in 3 quarters, not in the game. It's 3 quarters. Mo Spates, man.
But again, let's not forget the Houston Rockets are an 8 seed. They're an 8 seed for a reason. They hadn't been the best team in the NBA throughout the regular season, and they're showing why they're the 8th seed.
This is very true, man. It's making me mad just sitting here watching this. Like, how are you letting Mo Spates kill you?
If they're playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder right now, the Thunder are taking advantage and they're winning because they're a better team. But Houston Rockets just not a very good cohesive team this year.
I'm getting upset. I think we need to go to commercial.
Well, when we come back from commercial break, gonna dip and dab into the sweet science. Couple big fights coming up this weekend on a lot of people's pound for pound list. 2 of the top 3 fighters in the world in Gennady Triple G Golovkin.
Triple G.
And Roman Chocolatito. You gotta love that nickname, Chocolatito Gonzalez. Gonna take a look at those fights, take a look at some other fighters and who I feel like are my top 5 pound for pound fighters when we come back on the All Things Sport podcast with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio. What up? This is Pierre Banks, and when I'm back in Boone watching the Mountaineers, my first stop is always Mountaineer Mania. The good folks at Mountaineer Mania have the widest selection of app gear, so you can cheer on the Mountaineers in style. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, sweatshirts, decals, cornhole sets. I mean, if you need it, they've got it. So head on down to Mountaineer Mania at 497 West King Street in Boone and tell them I sent you. Pierre Banks here, thanking you all for listening to the All Things Sport podcast. Please subscribe for much more of the show. Also, join myself and Rudy Mondragon for In My Humble, The Split Decision, where we discuss all things boxing and what is just our humble opinion on the In My Humble YouTube channel.
The All Things Sport podcast.
We go back like spinal cords and car seats.
with Daimeon Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio.
Dig, if you will, the picture of you and I engaged in a kiss.
Welcome back to the All Things Sport podcast. We are having a blast giving you our unique take on the world of sport. All things sport, that is. A lot of big fights coming up, Pierre. Know you're a boxing aficionado. Had some amateur background in that sweet science. You and Rudy Mondragon give us, the split decision via our YouTube channel, In My Humble Split Decision. So with all these big fights coming up, you being our boxing analyst, our boxing aficionado, what do you see the world of the state of the world of boxing, man? I think it's at an all-time high right now.
It's in a better place than it has been in quite some time. And the catalyst for that, of course, was the great Floyd Mayweather, who retired last year at 49. And no, a lot of people expect for him to come back. I don't know that he'll actually come back. He may come back if he wants to, but I think he'll retire due to hand problems, age, amongst other things, and the fact that he has a ton of money and doesn't need to fight anymore. But he was the guy that brought the attention back to the sport of boxing, and now Al Heyman and PBC are doing a lot to bring boxing to the masses by putting it on NBC, CBS, ESPN, bringing it back to the mainstream public to where you don't have to pay for fights or you don't have to get HBO Showtime to watch those fights. But now this new generation of boxers, man, led by Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, they're giving the fans exactly what they want to see. A lot of action, a lot of violence, and more importantly, knockouts. And that's the reason why some people, like to say that MMA is taking over and more people are watching that because it's a more brutal sport. But Triple G gives you those knockouts. Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez gives you those knockouts. Keith one-time Thurman gives you those knockouts. Sean Porter. So all the fighters now, all the top name fighters give you the action that you're looking for, but still very skilled in the ring, bring a lot of things to the table. And, I'm just excited about where the sweet science is. This weekend, tomorrow, you got Triple G putting his undefeated and putting his knockout streak on the line against the undefeated Dominic Wade for the middleweight title. Of course, the lineal champion in that division actually fights at super welterweight in Canelo Alvarez, and we'll see if that fight actually takes place. And then the flyweight champion of the world, Roman Gonzalez, taking on a fighter with 18 fights as well. But it'll be a good card of fights.
Yeah, Pierre, exactly. Boxing fans, they want to see knockouts. And that is what Triple G gives you. That guy has cement bricks in his gloves, man. Because when he hits you, you feel it. You got, not mentioning the fighters that's fighting this weekend, my favorite fighter right now, Bud. Terrence Bud Crawford, man, like Nebraska zone, man. Is you bout it, fool? Like, I love Terrence Crawford, man. That guy right there, budding superstar. The heavyweight division has some stars on the horizon. You're not just having the Klitschko's dominating that division. Still got Andre Ward, flawless victories. Like, he's not even challenged most of the time in his fights. Makes it look easy. Boxing, man, I'm not on the sport of boxing like you are. I'm a casual fight fan. Although I have commentated boxing matches before, I know what I'm looking at. I'm not into it on the level that you are. So I know your love for that sport, and when I look at boxing, I want to see excitement. And the fights that Al, like you said, Al Heyman, PBC, they're putting together, they're exciting fights. A lot of the times you got champions fighting champions, and that's what the fans want to see.
A lot of people say that the popularity of boxing fell off a bit when the exit of the American heavyweight champion happened. So now you have the bronze bomber, Deontay Wilder, Alabama's own, who is the WBC champion at heavyweight. And, you know, he's got 33, 34 victories with 33 knockouts. You know, so he's giving you that action that you want to see. The before mentioned